So, okay, welcome everybody to the July 16th, 2024 meeting of the Orland Park Planning Commission. If you would all please rise and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do we have anybody here who's just from the public and not a petitioner? Okay, just needed to know that ahead of time. This way I'd explain what the order is of people speaking. But we're good, okay? Well, I'll call the meeting to order. First thing is the roll call. Commissioner Parisi. Commissioner Schuessler?
Here.
John Paul?
Here.
Patrick Zamparelli.
Here.
Dan Sanchez.
Here.
John Nugent.
Here.
Joe Zatar. Here. Thank you. You all had an adequate opportunity to review the minutes thoroughly, which were sent to you? What?
He needs to say why he's joining remotely.
Oh. Joe, I must ask you, why are you joining us remotely? What's that? Thank you. Okay, I move that, since you've all had a chance to review the minutes, I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes of the July 2nd, 2024 Planning Commission meeting.
Chairman. Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
move that the minutes be approved as presented.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Schuessler, seconded by Commissioner Zamparelli. All in favor?
Aye.
Joe? You approve the minutes, Joe? You're right. Sorry. I'm sorry. You are correct. Wasn't here. Yeah, and Dan, you had abstained.
I was not here, but I did watch the YouTube version of the meeting, so I voted yes.
Okay. Good, thank you. Just want to make sure we get it right. Okay. I move we open public hearings with public hearing number 2024-0307.
Second.
Joe Rizza Porsche. Seconded by Commissioner Paul. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No. Okay, good. So, the petitioner's here. Okay. If you have anything you'd like to address to the commission here, we'd ask you to step up to the podium there. This is a recorded meeting. And if you have any comments or questions, and when you come up to the podium, whoever it may be, we'll swear you in. It's a recorded meeting. Yeah, if you're going to speak or if you think you might speak, we want to swear you in.
He's going to have to correct me when the things I say.
Well, he'll be sworn in, so when he corrects you, we'll know it's correct.
Okay.
Thank you. Would you please raise your right hands?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that any testimony you present tonight will be the truth and nothing but the truth? If so, please say I do.
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, your name and if you agree, your address for the records?
Home address?
Or business.
Oh, home or business, doesn't matter.
Yeah, so Dan McMillan, and the address I'll give is for the business that we're discussing tonight that we're expanding, 8760 West 159th Street in Orland Park, 60462. So I'm Dan McMillan, I'm the CFO of the corporation. Here representing the corporation, we have Todd Roberts, who is our engineer. He's here to answer all the technical questions. So we're looking forward to Marcus's presentation of what we see as a very critical expansion for the Porsche building. We're busting at the seams with service. We're going to put in about 11,000, I think it's 11,800 square foot. The footprint itself is only about 8,200. There's a second floor also. So we're not asking at this point for any, what I would say exceptions. It's, the property is under a special use permit, as all auto dealers are on 159th Street. So, but other than that, we don't see any real issues, but we're gonna go through it all and we'll answer any questions that you may have afterwards.
And have you responded to the findings of fact? Conditions?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Okay.
think we did. Yeah.
Marcus
That
is
was all.
nodding.
That's how we got here today.
That's good. Well, thank you. Thank you. I believe at this point, then, we will turn it over to staff. Marcus?
Very good. Thank you.
No, thank you.
All right, good evening. I'd like to begin by requesting that the staff report be entered into the record as written and as presented. So this petition's for a special use for RZA Porsche, so they can expand their building by approximately 11,000 square feet. The land use will not be changing. It still has the active special use for automotive services and sales. The site's located in the Auto Row corridor along 159th Street, and it's approximately 5 acres in size and located on the 159th and Harlem Planning District. The comprehensive plan dedicates this area as neighborhood mixed use. The existing car dealership is very appropriate when you look around at the surrounding context of all of the additional car dealerships in the area. Here's an aerial view of the existing lot. There's 2 outlots on the east side of the property that were approved by the Plan Commission as well as the Village Board last May 2023. But the project is no longer moving forward, so the ordinance for RZA Acura will be repealed by the board when the ordinance is approved for RZA Porsche. Here's just an existing front of the building view. There's actually not many changes there's no changes at all to the front. The new building will be in the rear. Ordinance 5307 approved modifications for parking, lighting, detention ponds, the slopes for the detention ponds, the landscape buffer yard on the west side of the property, just because that's where the existing driveway is that shares with Giorgio's. These modifications are still active, and there's no additional modifications requested with this petition. And here's the existing and proposed site plan side by side. And the new building addition is about 11,800 square feet in size and will require a configuration of that rear parking lot that currently exists in that location. There'll also be a new 110 space parking lot built north of that existing drive aisle that surrounds the property. So overall, with that parking lot reconfiguration, there's a 78 space net gain of parking on site. But since there was a code amendment last year for parking for automotive dealerships, these are considered vehicle storage spaces, so they're not counted against the petitioner, or there won't be any modification required. And then the primary use of the site of the new portion of the building would be automotive services, and then there's the additional offices on the second floor of the building. And here's just a side-by-side kind of zoomed in to show the yellow squares where the new 11,000 square foot addition would be. And then just north of that drive aisle is where the new parking spaces are going. And for the landscape plan, the stormwater management area at the rear of the property will be required to be brought up to village standards. And if there's any permits from outside agencies, those will all be reviewed during final engineering. And for the landscaping, it currently meets the intent of our code and will be finalized during final engineering after village board approval. And here are the proposed building elevations, which currently match the existing building almost identically. And they do meet the intent of our design standards listed in the code as they were approved back in 2017. The first floor of the building is a black precast brick, and the second floor will be some metal panels that are already shown. If you look in the black and white section, it's the same materials on the old as the new. Then here's just the rear elevation. And for the staff recommended action regarding case number 2024-0307, also known as Joe Rizza Porsche dealership, staff recommends to accept and make findings of fact as discussed within this plan commission meeting and within the staff report. And the approval of the special use amendment is conditioned upon our standard conditions, as well as a condition to complete the final layer of asphalt on the property that has not been done at this time. And here's the staff recommended motion.
Thank you. I'll go to my commissioners. Commissioner Zamparelli?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have to say, you're very thorough, Mr. McMillan. I have nothing really to say, except I'm glad to see that you're very busy over there and need to expand. So, good luck.
Thank you. Before we continue, sir, I saw you walk in. Are you part of one of the petitions, or are you just from the public? Okay. Okay, great, thank you. No, because I wanted to make sure if there was anybody from the public, they had their say before we did. Okay. Okay. Commissioner Nugent?
I'm always just asking if anyone views it for later, because a common question with the dealerships, but anything about the addition changes the delivery of new autos to the dealership, that they would ever worry about the large trucks or traffic? It'll still be at business hours, and you're not going to block her on 59th Street? I'm just asking more for the record.
Can you raise the microphone up so I can hear you?
Yeah, there you
There you
go.
go.
422 Meridian Parkway in Aurora. Yeah, nothing's going to change as far as delivery of vehicles and so forth. It's all going to continue to go around that loop drive, and that inventory area will be the original receiving area for those cars, which is quite a ways away from any of the activity that's on the current dealership site. Yeah.
Okay, no, you guys answered that last year, but nobody's here, but in case down the road, just want to make sure that we publicly covered it.
Yeah. very
Thank
good.
you. I have nothing else.
Thank you. Commissioner Schussler?
Always good to see a business is successful and needs to put an addition on. The only question I have is with regard to outlots A and B on the landscape sheet, which is L1.00. It shows some minimal landscaping, and there's a reference to future automobile dealership building, future site improvements, future site improvements. What's the game plan for the outlots, and how much is it being landscaped right now? It's hard to tell from this drawing.
Yes.
I know you're an old guy.
And then I really feel short with that being up that high, but, no, we have tentative plans to possibly build a smaller, as you can tell when you look at it, you can see how narrow that is. That's why when we did the Acura last year, and then when we finally looked at it, the ingress and egress was going to be very difficult. So we're talking about a possible doing a smaller dealership, which would be where we have Maserati and Alfa Romeo, which much less volume. So we could we think we can possibly do that. And in the meantime, we will do the landscaping, do the landscaping around that, on the side to make sure that we're in compliance. But we also take into account that we may be building, we build something there at some point, but we're just
In the
not sure.
meantime, it'll be just grass that you'll mow then?
Yeah, oh yeah, we keep that mode. Our, the company, Huber and Associates, they're our landscapers, and they take care of that too, so it will never be ignored.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Sanchez?
No, I don't really have any questions. Good luck with everything, and I'm glad to see you guys are growing and expanding.
Thank you. Commissioner Paul?
The only concern that I had, right, I'm looking at everything, and as far as like building further back in that parking lot, it's going to cover some grass, obviously, but it doesn't seem to be an issue as far as water, the retention pond. There's no reason to think that that's going to be an issue, is there?
No, that area, if you go back and look at the original site plan from 2017 that was proposed parking lot at that time did not get built. So what we're doing is basically just building that for the vehicle storage area, and that does not impact the pond.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I have nothing to add. Looks fine to me.
Joe?
I'd like to see that, that you're adding a rear buffer yard landscape, which is good. Joe, do you have anything to add? No. Thank you. Haven't heard from the commissioner.
24-0307, also known as Joe Reza Porsche Dealership Expansion. I move to approve the staff recommended action as presented in the staff report to the Plan Commission for this case.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Schuster, seconded by Commissioner Paul. Commissioner Zatar? Aye. Aye. Commissioner Zamparelli?
Aye.
Commissioner Nugent?
Aye.
Commissioner Schuster?
Aye.
Chairman Parisi, aye. Commissioner Paul?
Aye.
And Commissioner.
Aye.
Thanks. Good luck, guys. Thank you. Yes. I move we-
Painless. Painless, right, Dan?
I move we close this public hearing.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Paul. In favor?
Aye.
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 I move we open public hearing number 2024-0250, Hometown Veterinary Partners, 100 Wolf Road Special Permit.
Aye. No, second.
Seconded by Commissioner Paul. All in favor?
Aye.
Is that an aye, Joe? Aye. Thank you. Okay. Petitioners are here. Do you think there's a possibility that you all, different questions, maybe might, why don't you all stand? What we'll do, we'll swear you all in, and if it should come to the point where one of you wants to speak, we'll ask you to come back up to the podium and give us your name, address, and your position, okay? So if you would all raise your right hand, please.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that any testimony you present tonight in this matter will be the truth and nothing but the truth? If so, please say, I do. I do. Thank you.
Thank you. So, who's the speaker here?
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I hope everybody was safe with the tornadoes yesterday.
Thank
Flew in
you.
from Minnesota, so I'm familiar with that, but not any touchdowns. So I'm glad to hear everybody's safe and well. My name is Carrie Kamba. I'm the president and founder of Hometown Veterinary Partners.
What's your name again?
Carrie Kamba.
Carrie Camlin?
Carrie Kamba.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
So you've obviously seen the recommendations.
We
and
have.
whatnot, and you have any comments or questions or objections?
No, we don't. I'd also want to state that I have the affidavit with me here as well as certified receipts from all of the petitions that we sent out to the surrounding area. Otherwise, we feel comfortable proceeding and answering any questions that you may have.
We'll get to that. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Staff?
Yes, I'll begin. I would like to request that the staff report be accepted into the record as written and as presented during the meeting. Here's an aerial view of the subject site, 18,000 Wolf Road. Hometown Veterinary Partners seeks an approval of a special use permit for an animal service use in the General Business District. The petitioner is not seeking to modify the exterior of the building, there are no additional modifications or variances being requested for this project. The subject site is located within the Grasslands Planning District. The site is also designated as a neighborhood mixed use. This parcel is zoned mixed use. Currently, the site is vacant, but the land use will remain commercial. Here is a Google Street View of the vacant building. To the right would be the Jewel Osco. And no changes will occur to the exterior of the building. The subject site is located within Lot 2 of the Albertsons Wolf Road subdivision. Within the Marley Creek Plaza, there are currently 243 parking spaces. The parking requirements per section 6-306 require one space for every 300 square feet of building area. Based on the proposal, an estimated total of 12 parking spaces is required for this use. I'd like to note that there are other vacant tenants in this plaza, but at the time in which tenants do come in, parking will be reevaluated to make sure that there is enough parking for new tenants that come in. But at this time, staff has authorized a 20% reduction in the total required number of parking, which is, I believe, 253 spaces. And regarding noise at the site, staff recognizes that it's a veterinary clinic, not a doggy daycare or a facility in which animals will be remaining for substantial periods of time. In addition, it's also been recognized that the site is at least 300 feet from the closest residential property to the east. And I've also been out there. There's like a service wall that could help mitigate some of the noise that could possibly come from this use on site. Regarding case number 2024-0250, also known as Hometown Veterinary Partners, staff recommends to accept and make findings of fact as discussed at this Plan Commission meeting within the staff report dated July 11, 2024, subject to the petitioner meeting all of the building code requirements and getting any outside permits, in addition to applying for a sign permit for the exterior of their building.
No, well, thank you. I will now, once again, go to my fellow commissioners. Commissioner Sanchez?
I don't think we should be concerned about the parking. Seems like there's a ton of parking there available. People just might have to walk a little bit. And then as far as the noise, there's already a doggy daycare there, right? Like Dogtopia, so I don't think we've had many complaints or issues with them. So yeah, I don't really have any issues or questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Paul?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just had one question. How are animals going to be brought in and out? I mean, is there going to be designated parking in the front where people can park and somebody gets the animal from the car and brings it in? Are they being walked from the parking lot? And if so, do we feel safe walking an animal through the parking lot?
Yes, great question. And yes, the clients will be bringing their pets in on leashes. We'll also be providing leashes at the facility if they don't have any. We also have had other locations that are in a strip mall and haven't had any incidents of danger and or harm to the pets.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you. Commissioner Schussler?
I don't have any questions specifically regarding this use or this plan. You've done a nice job in your layout.
Okay.
I do have some questions for staff with respect to the shopping center, which will be the landlord. I'm very familiar with that shopping center because I go there once a month to get my hair cut. They have, over the years, they've had a problem getting that center leased up. There have been continual vacancies and significant vacancies. At one time, half of the center was vacant. They seem to be making a concerted effort recently to fill it up, and this is one of the larger spaces. I think there are only 2 or 3 other smaller spaces that are still available. I don't think there's ever going to be a parking problem once those three are filled up, so I don't see that. The issue I have is with the condition of the shopping center. I think the village has been a little bit, I don't want to say lax, but have given them a lot of latitude because they've had trouble with getting tenants. So we haven't been as strict with them as we probably should have been with regard to the condition of the property. And there are 2 specific issues I want to raise, which I hope you will raise with the landlord and tell them that we're going to start having big questions as they get future tenants if they don't attend to this. One is the parking lot, and I think you're on top of that because there's a reference to that in in the material you've given us, it's not well maintained. The other issue is the detention pond. The detention pond, which is right on the corner, to the north of the gas station. Now you can kind of see it. Yeah, you can you see? Yeah, you can see it there. Green, the dark green,
On the corner.
and kind of in the middle of, yeah, you see the parking lot? Yeah, right there where you're right. It's full of invasives, very bad invasive. And I'm wondering if it's even operating the way it's supposed to, with all that junk in there. Some of the volunteer vegetation is over your head. It's like 6, 7, 8 feet high. And that really should be attended to. They really need to get somebody qualified in there to remove the invasives and restore it to the condition it is supposed to be in, the condition that was approved way back when the center was built. So other than that, I have no particular issues with the petition or the petitioner. I just hope you get on their landlord and attend to those issues.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and to your point, I have been in contact with the landlord of the plaza. He's been notified of the maintenance that needs to occur to the parking lot specifically. In addition, he also has been notified of the landscaping challenges on site. But because Tim, the landscaping consultant, has believed there's a need for a new landscape plan in general, so they will be coming to us with a new landscape plan, hopefully soon. I'm just not sure when I'll receive that, but they've been notified and they've been in contact with us.
All right, when you talk about landscape, talk about the detention basin.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Good, because as is noted in our presentation here, there's a section 6-308 of the Land Development Code that speaks to the property, you know, and it says that to maintain the aesthetics of the community, preserve the visual appeal, and adheres to design and character outlined in it. So you're on that. So that's good. I appreciate it. Commissioner Nugent?
Two things for you. One, for staff, you were saying something about the residential areas to the east, when we've been more concerned about the residential areas to the west?
Actually, no, west.
Correct.
Was it just that you meant west, or?
I think I
We
meant
had
west. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. I think I meant west.
Okay, I just meant that, because at Dogtopia, we did have a few neighbors come in. So, but we've addressed anything that, here you're further from neighbors than Dogtopia, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then speaking of which, so for outside access, where they are at 8,000, you're the storefront closest to Jewel there, right? Okay. So like either for guests or their patients, does anybody go outside to the back? Like break area or the animals for relax there?
Yeah, great question. For our staff, we're building a break area inside of the location, and then pets won't be at the location for extended use of time. And we also,
Say it again.
the pets won't be at the facility for an extended use of time, meaning they'll be in and out of the location. Appointments are 30 minutes long, and we're not doing any overnight or any type of boarding.
Okay. Because I just, as a dog owner, don't a lot of pets get nervous and want to go to the bathroom first?
Sometimes they do, yeah. That's why we have, our exam rooms are built so that exams will be done in front of the clients with the pets. The only thing that would have to be any type of relief area would be would be pets that are doing any type of surgical procedures. And when they're getting surgical procedures, it's less than. We also have on the facility, double bagging any type of waste, and then antimicrobial sprays to be able to clean up any messes inside of the location.
Okay. I was just thinking about, because Jewel's right there, pets come in and out.
Of course,
There's no relief area for anybody, right?
correct.
Okay. And we don't require that?
No
Okay.
mention of it. in
We don't
the code.
require it? Otherwise, welcome, it'd be awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Right.
Thank you, John. Commissioner Zamparelli?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Basically, they've asked all the questions I had. I was curious if any animals are going to spend the night, but no, correct? So I welcome you to Orland Park. Good luck. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And I did hear you say on your premises there, you do have the capacity to perform surgeries there and everything, right? Yeah. Just for my personal edification, what will your hours be?
We're going to be open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to
And that's
know.
Dr. Eisenbart right there. She's our partner doctor.
There you are.
Yeah.
Good to know. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. I would entertain a motion at this time. Oh, wait. Joe, do you have anything to add? Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Sorry to be slipping like that, Joe.
Mr. Chairman,
You get some, Kerry? Oh, you wanted Joe? Okay. Yes, sir.
one more question and I'll make the motion. You said you're from Minnesota. Are there other facilities you have around the country? Is this what number is this of your?
This will be number 6
Oh, good.
of 10 in the next 60 days. The other people that you have here is Katie Keeker, who's our hospital director from our Minnesota location. We have 2 there. We have one complete build-out in Myrtle Beach with 3 more that we're acquiring. We just closed on another hospital yesterday in the Schaumburg location, Schaumburg area. We have another one underway in the Geneva area, and then we have LOIs out in Florida as well as Boston.
How'd you pick Orland Park?
Oh, great area. Great area, and Dr. Eisenbart is resident.
So this isn't your first rodeo?
No,
Okay.
the
Mr.
gray hair says it all.
All right, so we can get this show on the road for you. Mr. Chairman, regarding case number 2024-0250, also known as Hometown Veterinary Partners, 18000 Wolf Road, special use permit for animal services. I move to approve the staff recommended actions and proposed findings of fact as presented in the staff report to the Plan Commission for this case.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Schuessler, seconded by Commissioner Paul. Commissioner Zatar? Aye. Commissioner Zamparelli?
Aye.
Commissioner Nugent?
Aye.
Obviously, Commissioner Schuessler?
Aye.
Commissioner Parisi? Aye. Commissioner Paul?
Aye.
And Commissioner Sanchez?
Aye.
Thank you and welcome to Orland Park.
Get the hammers and saws going.
I move that we close public hearings.
Second.
And a second by Commissioner Paul. In favor?
Aye.
You part of that, Joe? Yeah. I'm sorry, I have to ask you all the time because I can't see you, so appreciate it. Appreciate it. Okay. Okay, well, thank you, Joe. So we're, did I pull everybody else? No. Okay, so all in favor of closing public hearings?
Aye.
Nobody's opposed. Okay, great. I move that we open non-public hearings.
Second. Second.
I made the motion, Commissioner Schuessler made the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Joe. I move we open public hearing number 2024-0444, Village of Orland Park, Village Hall, and Civic Center signage.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Joe.
I would like to begin by respectfully requesting that the staff report be accepted into the record as written and as presented during this meeting. The petitioner, who is the Village of Orland Park, is seeking approval of a certificate of appropriateness for minor work on a landmark structure. The proposed signage will go on the Frederick T. Owens Village Hall and William R. Vogel Civic Center. Both buildings are landmarked and zoned VCD Village Center District. Under the comprehensive plan, It is designated downtown planning district with a land use designation of community and institutional. For some background on signs, in 2016, the village adopted a wayfinding and branding plan. Since that time, monument and directional signs throughout the village have been systematically replaced. So the proposed signage will further aid in wayfinding and enforcing Orland Park's branding and identity. Per section 6209G1, the review and approval process for contributing structures and landmarks for minor work require plan commission and board approval. Minor work is defined as changes that do not have a substantial impact on the exterior appearance of the structure or site, including alteration, addition, removal, exterior architectural elements such as doors, windows, fences, skylights, siding, exterior stairs, roofs, tuck pointing, etc. The proposed signage, I have the locations marked by the stars here. The proposed signage includes the GEM logo on the east and west sides of the clock tower with Orland Park under the clock, Village Hall on or above the south entrance Village Hall doors, and Civic Center above the east entrance doors of the Civic Center. So the total scope of work is to install 6 new signs. The 2 GEM logos are the only illuminated signs, and the size and scale of all these signs will be consistent with the existing signage on Village Hall or on Village Campus and will conform to Section 6-307 signs. So here are the existing conditions of the Civic Center currently. And here is the proposed, again, it's going to be Civic Center written above the doors. Existing conditions of Village Hall. Here's the clock tower, east and west sides, and then the south-facing doors. The proposed work, again, it's the GEM logo illuminated at the top part of the clock tower. It is design A, and it'll have Orland Park at the bottom instead of Village Hall. Here is the proposed work for the entrance sign. It's just going to say Village Hall. It is design A. Recommended action regarding case number 2024-044, also known as Village Hall or Village of Orland Park, Village Hall, and Civic Center signage. Staff recommends to accept and make findings of fact as discussed at this Plan Commission meeting and within the staff report dated July 11th, 2024. And staff recommends that the Plan Commission approve a certificate of appropriateness for minor work on a landmark. And here is the recommended motion.
Thank you. Okay. We've all had an opportunity to review the presentation, and thank you for including illustrations with our presentation, so we're not seeing it here for the first time. Much appreciated. Commissioner Zapparelli?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What a great idea. It's about time. I mean, really, I kind of sorry I didn't think about it. So I really don't have any questions. Well, which one? It's you got 4 of them, 5 of them up there.
Yeah, this one is going to be design A. So,
Design A.
yes, with the gem on both sides at the top of, like, topmost part of the tower. And then instead of it saying Village Hall, it's going to say Orland Park.
Yeah, I like the one all the way on the right where we have the logo and then so as long as it says Orland Park. But other than that, I'm happy to see that. So thank you, and thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Nugent?
I have no questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Schussler?
I have just one question on the Village Hall entrance. It's not going to say Orland Park Village Hall, it's just going to say Village Hall?
Yeah, it's kind of small, but it'll just say Village Hall right up above the doors.
Okay. I'm sure there was a lot of thought and discussion about this, so I'm not going to
Yes.
second guess it.
Thank you. Thank you. Commissioner Sanchez?
No questions.
Commissioner Paul?
Just one question. I don't know if it's, I've heard rumblings that it's no longer going to be Fred Owens Village Hall or Bill Vogel Civic Center, is that true? Or does that stay the same? Or
I don't believe so. Yeah,
Pardon
it's
me?
going to be the same.
still, okay. There's some rumblings I'd heard a while back that was going to change, and I was curious if that affected anything here.
I don't believe so.
Okay, that's all I have.
I can confirm that that's not changing.
Thank you. Thank you much.
Not changing.
Oh, okay. All right, good.
Nice job, thank you. Joe? Okay, Joe. Thank you. I would, what was that, Joe? Yes, it is. Okay. Regarding case number 2024-0561, also known as Plan Commission by, oops. Wrong one. Somebody else want to take the motion?
Mr. Chairman, regarding case number 2024-0444, also known as Village of Orland Park Village Hall and Civic Center signage, I move to approve the staff recommended action as presented in the staff report to the Plan Commission for this case.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Schussler, second by Commissioner Paul. Joe? Commissioner Zamparelli?
Aye.
Commissioner Nugent?
Aye.
Schussler?
Aye.
Parisi, aye. Commissioner Paul?
Aye.
Commissioner Sanchez?
Aye.
Good, thank you so much. A second. I move that we close non-public hearings.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Sanchez. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Joe. Motion passes. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, we got you, Joe. Thank you. Okay, I move that we close non-public hearings.
Second.
We just did.
We just did that.
Oh, we just did that.
Yeah.
You're right. I meant, what I wanted to do is open other business, and start with, 2024-0561, Plant Commission bylaws, public participation policy. Carrie?
All right, thank you. This is part of a series of bylaws that we embarked on earlier this year. The first one was the electronic participation back in March. And so we had three others that we wanted to just kind of get policies in writing, just so we have that clearly communicated to the public and for the Plan Commission as well. So I'm going to ask actually for all three of them to be, have the staff reports accepted into the record and as written and as presented tonight. So the public participation one is, 0561. So the Plan Commission generally follows the Roberts Rules of Order to conduct meetings and follows best practices for public participation during regularly scheduled and special meetings. I did want to update the second sentence in the purpose statement for this. Initially, we were thinking of actually turning this into a code, but I guess we'd really just rather take a look at this as just a written policy. Because the vast majority of this is already codified in something that the Board of Trustees approved back in March as well for public participation. So we're just asking that the Plan Commission consider a written policy. Ordinance number 5874 is a large contributor to the narrative that's in the staff report. So it was, applies to the village board and then also any of its committees, commissions, and advisory boards. That's why we built off of that. We just have a few more clarifying questions or clarifying items that go with, that apply specifically to the Plan Commission. Any person wishing to address the Plan Commission should make their desire known in writing. So we do have a sign-in sheet for the evening, and they should have that, fill that out prior to speaking. So we will have something in record in addition to them stating their name and possibly their address prior to speaking. The biggest, I guess, clarification would be item 3 on page 2, since it's different than how the village board conducts their business. So speakers for each hearing and non-public hearing shall address topics relevant to the specific project or case. And then at the end of the meeting where we have the non-scheduled citizens and visitors, they should address topics relevant to the land development code, because other items may not be your purview, it would be the purview of the village board. So we're looking at just stating that each person should be limited to comments for 3 minutes, limit to 10 minutes for a person speaking on behalf of a group or 4 or more people, and then limit the comments to 30 minutes in total. All of these may be exceeded by a majority vote of those present at that evening's meeting, and that could be extended, but we're just trying to button up the timeline, but it can always be adjusted at any given meeting. And anyone wishing to speak needs to be physically present and attend in person. If they're unable to attend, they could submit their comments via mail or email or drop off a letter in development services, and we can include that into the record. And as I stated before, they should state their name, and then at their option, they could state their address verbally, but we'd also have that in the sign-in sheet. And maybe just to point out item 14, the presiding officer, which would be either the chairman or vice chairman, if the chairman is not attending the meeting, they have the authority to terminate the public comment session of any person who fails to adhere to the rules, and any person who disrupts the public body from being able to conduct its business during the public meeting may be subject to removal from the meeting room. Just something in case a project turns into something of that magnitude. And anyone with public comments shall address the Plan Commission as a whole and not individual members or staff members or other members of the public.
Right.
So the main differences are no public, open public comment period at the beginning of the meeting like the Board of Trustees have, because we want the comments to go specifically to that case. And then the non-scheduled visitors, non-scheduled citizens and visitors will be limited to the land development code. Otherwise, the presiding officer may direct them to share that at an upcoming committee of the whole or Board of Trustees meeting. Regarding case number 2024-0561, staff recommends the Plan Commission adopt Plan Commission bylaws, public participation policy as discussed at the Plan Commission meeting and within the staff report dated July 12, 2024. And then the recommended motion is on the bottom of page 3.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you.
Do any of my fellow commissioners have any comments regarding this discussion? Commissioner,
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Schuster, go ahead.
The items 1 through 16, with the exception you just mentioned about the non-scheduled visitors, is what the village board follows. That's their rules and procedures. We don't do it that way. We don't limit people to 3 minutes in our meetings. We don't limit, if it's somebody speaking for a group of 4 or more to 30 minutes. We don't have 30 minutes per case limit. We've never done that. So one of two things has to happen. We need to either change this, which we can do and propose to the Board of Trustees that we have different rules than they do, because we don't have the problems they have with regard to people coming and causing disturbances and talking for extended periods of time in a disorganized way. So we could do that. We could propose that we not have 3 minutes, that we have some other rule. Or every time somebody comes up here and gets to 3 minutes, somebody's going to have to say, Mr. Chairman, I move that we whatever the time is, we
They do cover that in the presentation.
make a motion, and everybody has to vote on it to give them more than 3 minutes.
You don't need a motion. It clearly states that,
No, you need a motion.
it clearly states that the presiding officer has the authority to terminate the public comment session of any person who fails to adhere to these rules. That's pretty specific.
Also, the chair of the meeting can waive the rules with regards to public comment.
Well, where's the thing about, there's something in here about voting, where the whole board has to vote on something.
Item 5.
Show it to me and we'll both see it.
So each public
Oh,
comment
yeah.
period, yeah.
Number
item
5, each
yeah.
public comment period may exceed the time allocated if the public officials, by a majority vote at the meeting, agree to allow the public comment period to exceed the time. So that tells me that you have to vote every time somebody's going to exceed the time limit. Am I correct in that?
That doesn't tell me that. That tells me the individual is 3 minutes. The public comment period is a lot longer than 3 minutes. I believe if we look, I believe the public comment period is 30 minutes per project or cause.
But
So if you-
Nick, look up at number 4. It says the maximum public comment period shall be limited to 3 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes. So that's what it's referring to.
And that's what I just said. C is 30 minutes per project or cause or case. So what that tells me is if this group or whoever, one individual, if I allow them to go beyond 3 minutes and we get to 30 minutes on that particular case, then in that case, it's recommending that we vote to exceed 30 minutes. Am I seeing that right, Ann?
That's how I would read it. If it's unclear, I think the language should be clarified.
I'm looking at the 3-minute one, which is people that come up and address the board, they barely have enough time to give their name and address, and they've already spent a minute, and they've only got 2 more minutes.
Yeah, well, but
So what I'm
we
trying to
don't need a
avoid.
vote, we don't need a vote of the commission to let somebody exceed 3 minutes.
I think you do.
I think you don't.
Wait, no, well, let's.
Can I weigh in on something?
Well, the way I read it was that the
Anna's our
board would vote to extend the total 30-minute public comment period. But if that's unclear, because there's breakdowns of that, I think we should clarify that the chair can waive as to an individual commenter.
Mr. Chairman,
Wait,
If that's the way the commission wants to
let
handle it.
Ed finish, go ahead.
Well, my understanding, Ann, is that number 4 is divided into 4 sections. But the statement, the major statement up here, the maximum public comment period shall be limited to, for any one of these, actually 3, A, B, C. You're talking about the public comment period limited, okay? So public comment period should be limited to, per person, 3 minutes.
Well, if you want to hold,
And I understand, I can see where that reading of it makes sense. I'm saying when I initially reviewed it, that was not my interpretation, but it now should be clarified since you're
Yeah,
presenting
I would agree.
a completely reasonable alternative reading of that.
I would
So-
agree that we should clarify the language and make sure that in total it doesn't exceed 30 minutes, then we need a vote. Unless any of us, we got a room full of people, wants to hold a stopwatch to make sure everybody hasn't exceeded 3 minutes.
We've always operated under the premise that we allowed people to kind of present their case, and only when they repeat themselves do you generally say.
That's correct.
In a nice way.
Yes.
I think somebody's already made that point.
Correct.
You've already made that point.
And we've done that and it's
Let's move
worked.
on. But I don't think you're going to have that discretion with these hard limits in here. That's what I'm concerned about.
There's also been some flexibility extended because there's often conversation, which is not typical of the other boards and commissions, that there's back and forth between a public commenter and the members of the
Well,
commission.
I'd like you to clarify that point. The way I read it, we have to have a motion anytime anybody exceeds that, and we have to vote on it, which is going to be disruptive, and you're going to have somebody making a motion.
Well, I think we can clarify number 5.
Yes.
And be a little more specific.
Specific to basically like item
Yeah,
4C.
clarify how 4 and 5 work together, what the deal is, what that means.
And while we're asking them to clarify it, is 30 minutes enough? we have some pretty big projects here and there, and some of them have gone for hours.
That was going to be my comment.
Well, now I took it from you.
Well, that's all right.
But, I mean, we're all here. Should we consider, because I'll still have the authority to stop somebody if they exceed 3 minutes if I choose to. But I think in the aggregate, I don't see the harm in making it longer than 30 minutes before we have to take a vote of the whole commission.
Mr. Chairman, can I make a comment on that?
Please, Commissioner Zamparelli.
I think that the 30 minutes is kind of putting them in a spot, all right? And you can actually say, listen, we've had more discussion on this. I think we should take a vote right now with the board and extend it. But if you keep the 30 minutes, otherwise you can have a lot of long meetings. So you leave the 30 minutes in there, and right in front of the public, you can say, all right, this seems like it's a very hot topic. We're going to have to vote to see if we can extend it to let public opinion go on.
That's a good point, but nevertheless, I would like the language to be clarified to make it clear that the vote the commission has to take is not in regards to the 3 minutes, but in regards to the 30 minutes total. Yes.
Right. And I think the public would appreciate that, you know?
Yes, I do too. I think that's a great idea.
Thank you.
I do too. Commissioner Nugent, anything?
Just follow up on that. I mean, if you look back more recently, any of the projects, you had both the stadium and the Central Park West.
Yeah.
The stadium at Schuessler Park. And the reason, there's a lot of variables. There was a lot going on, everything from vegetation to usage, to the perspective of the people in Riviera, to the people that live to the east, the Fairway residents. You know, and the three things people come to public hearings for hasn't changed in the last 25 years. Water and how the water affects me, traffic, and it affects my property values. You know, we've had a little bit of like whether or not we're gonna allow a rental somewhere like at 159th, but I mean, what we might do, and we want everyone to be heard, like at Schuessler Park, that deserved to continue to go because there was a lot of variables. You know, I could be coming here because of traffic. I could be coming here because of the change of use. I could be here because I lived at Riviera and I thought I had a view. I could, you know, and if I had an opinion as a public member on, you know, the flooding, but then someone talks about traffic and I have a new opinion, I would want to let that person speak a second time because like that was a loaded hearing. But I think on stuff like that, like when we had the Fernway School, and almost everybody here was from Orland Hills. We had the mayor of another community here. We had a lot of agenda at that meeting. There's a lot to talk about. And, you know, it was three sides. And there was traffic, and two of the sides were very concerned about water. And even if, you know, Mary Smith on this street and Joe Brown on that street talked about water, if I lived on any of those sides, if it took 27 people who wanted to know how they were affected by water traffic, I think we have to hear all 27 people. Whereas they're like, well, is it going to be 4 stories and the brick's going to be brown? If Tom already asked that, we don't need to hear that question from Mary Ann. But I do think that if I live on this street and this street, just because we talked about flooding there, the people, I mean, that project hit 7 different streets or cul-de-sacs. So that's a lot of perspectives on people. But that's the thing, that's rare. I mean,
But, and there are things where, you know, we've said, not often enough, but we've said if something was, we asked people not to repeat the same question, and
Still do.
And sometimes, you know, sometimes I've said asked and answered, but oftentimes out of, I guess just out of respect for their taking the time to come here, I've you know, let them go ahead and, so, I mean, without beating it to death, I think that that should be more specified, more specific to say if it's going to go in excess of 30 minutes.
I think
Then,
we fill a room.
pardon?
I don't know if we can't really phrase it, but if we start a meeting, we already kind of know certain things are going to draw. And if the room's full,
We can do it ahead of time.
we can do it ahead of time.
Absolutely.
It's better to do it in front of them, I think. I think it's better off to say, listen, we normally have the stipulation of 30 minutes, but because we've got a hot topic.
Sure, we could say, you know, we see that this is,
Yeah.
you know, that this is an important issue. We see there's a lot of people here. Generally, we limit the discussion to 30 minutes. but out of respect for everybody who took the time to come here, we will allow an hour.
That'll put them on notice, and it'll also show that we respect
Sure.
them making the point coming
And
out.
in terms of people wanting to say something 2 and 3 times, we always have the option of not recognizing them.
I think we're all on the same page here.
I do.
I disagree on one point. If you do it ahead of time, you might be encouraging people to waste time. I think, my personal opinion, it would be, and I believe that we need to hear everybody out. I'm not looking to do anything that's going to.
In which case, when it
cut
gets to
somebody
30
off.
minutes, we extend it.
That's my point. When
Fine,
you get to
good.
when you get to the 30 minutes,
Yeah.
you say, we got a lot of people here, there's more people that need to, want to be
Yeah,
heard.
we go 30 minutes, but we're going
go
to extend it for another 15 or whatever.
Now, my other question is, for you, Ann, we've been talking about the maximum time limit, 30 minutes. Are we still required to limit the individuals to 3 minutes? Even though we might have extended the time to an hour, say? Is each individual still limited to 3 minutes?
Not the way I read it.
Unless we do something else?
Well, as I originally read, and I don't think I've heard anyone yet contradict this, but I had originally interpreted the procedures to be consistent with what is currently done, which is that the chair has sort of a discretionary waiver of any stated or written time limit, and that the chair will kind of stop somebody if they get repetitive, or if, it's inappropriate or argumentative or something like that, or personally attacking or threatening.
Okay,
But-
that's stopping, but as far as extending them, if you want to give them more time, what's the process? Do you need a vote for that, or can the chair do that?
I think that it says here that it says each public comment period may not exceed 30 minutes. And an individual speaking, I think the public comment period, I think you're talking about the 30 minutes, well, how long it takes us to deal with this case. And that 3 minutes, if I choose to let them go on, it would be a disservice. I mean, if I let them go 10 minutes, there's only 20 minutes left.
Okay, but Nick, what we're saying is 4 says the maximum public comment period shall be limited to 3 minutes per person.
Where does it say that?
Right, and my interpretation would be that we would have a rule written out that says 3 minutes for every person, but that the chair has the discretion to waive that or extend that or not stop the person from speaking as he sees fit. If you don't want this to clarify and say that, then you can direct us otherwise. That's how it is now.
I have absolutely no problem with the chair doing that. I think my only point is whatever rules we have, we ought to follow them. And this is kind of ambiguous, the way it's written, so I think it ought to be clarified whether the chair can do that. If somebody exceeds the 3 minutes, whether the chair has the right to say, okay, your time is up, but you got another 3 minutes to finish what you were saying, or you got another 2 minutes, or another 10 minutes, whatever the chair wants to do at that point. The way I read 4A is, right now, the chair can't do that. They're limited to 3 minutes, period, except when you get down to 5, it says that by a vote of the entire board, you can change the 3 minutes, the 10 minutes, the 30 minutes. I want you to.
Right, and I think, I understand what you're saying, I will clarify it. In my head, what I was doing is, it's where it's silent on that, I'm filling in the gaps with Robert's rules, which says that the chair has the discretion to waive any of the public comment or procedural time period. But you're absolutely correct that should be clarified within the rules.
My clarification would simply, I would just change number 5. That says that the 3 and 10 minute period specified can be extended at the discretion of the chair, but in the event that the comment period for that particular case is going to exceed 30 minutes, you need the commissioners to approve that.
I just wanted to weigh in on that.
Pardon?
I just wanted to weigh in on this as
Please
well.
do.
How often do we really need to go beyond 30 minutes?
Well, not often,
think
but-
about in the past of how many of these we've
It's the
had.
3 minute one that's going to be the problem.
Well, but Ed is saying if you've got written rules, They should not be ambiguous.
I mean, granted, we're not going to just shut somebody up at the 3-minute mark.
And I haven't.
3, 2,
Well,
1.
we haven't in the past, but we're
I
going to have
think
to in the future if we
maybe
just
let
accept
them know
this as it.
at 2.5 minutes that you've got 30 seconds. I think most people are courteous and
Well, if you want to hold a stopwatch, I'll let you. But I think we can all, it's easier.
Well, and for an example of that, that is the policy and the practice of the Board of Trustees meetings.
Right.
So if you've ever seen somebody who's approaching the 3-minute mark in that meeting, that they do time them, and
Do they have somebody time it?
Yeah.
I mean, one of the board members?
the mayor does it.
The mayor does it.
If you ever watch a village board
bless
meeting, the mayor will say, 10 seconds, or 5 seconds left, or 20 seconds. And then he'll say, your time is up.
because here's the thing, public speaking scares a lot of people.
Yeah, it
And
does.
for somebody to come up here and address the board, they're nervous, they're scared, and there's a tendency to ramble when that happens. I get that. But by maybe giving them that time limit, kind of like, look, you got 3 minutes, and then we'll let you off the hook. So you go down. And I think it probably would help a lot of people, make them less nervous, because they feel like, okay, I can get these points across, and then I can go sit down again. I think once they're up there, though, they get,
John, they've had problems at the village level, I think Carrie can attest to that, with some of the people getting obnoxious, I guess you'd say, in the audience or the speakers, and that's why they've come up with this 3-minute rule, this 10-minute rule, this 30-minute rule.
I can't imagine there's
Try
something.
try and keep control, I think. Am I right in that?
Yes, and I see this really for meetings where there might be standing room only, or it's a packed house,
Yes.
that if we're, say, limiting to 30 minutes, for instance, that each person should probably pace themselves at 3 minutes a person, just so everyone has a chance to speak. And then
Well-
at the 30-minute mark, you can extend it another half hour or whatever you would
Let me-
decide.
let
Just
me-
keeping it at a decent pace, so someone doesn't ramble for 10 minutes, but then,
Let me volunteer this,
yeah.
so that we don't have to rewrite the whole thing. And that is that, if it's good enough for the mayor to do, then I don't see any reason I can't do it. I will have a stopwatch here by me. I will have a timer here. And if I see somebody approaching the 3 minutes, I will politely remind them, in the interest of giving everybody an opportunity to speak. And I tell them beforehand, too, that we're limiting it to 3 minutes. And I think if I was to do that, we wouldn't have to change the writing of this. What do you think about that, Ed?
You're going to cut off a lot of people.
What do you advise?
And I would change the 3-minute thing to something a little bit longer. I don't think we need to follow the same rules the village board does, because they have different problems than we have.
Well, 3 minutes is a good time.
Yeah, I mean, I think you swear them in.
Yeah.
And then once they're sworn in, now we start the timer,
We
and
can try it and see, and if
Let
you're
them-
constantly cutting people off, then we should change it.
True.
how much do you need to say in 3 minutes?
Well, I don't have to cut them off. But what I do have to do is, and I'm not going to go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. I'm going to say you have 20 seconds left or something like that. And if they need more time, I would probably give it to them. And then if we got to the 30-minute situation, that's when we would take a vote.
Also, if I could say, can I comment on this? Because I've watched a few of the meetings, and I remember somebody got up, and they just sat there, and they were just rude. They were rude, they insulted the mayor, and I see exactly why he wants that control, and I agree with him. It was despicable how this person stood up there and talked to the mayor. And you know what? He rattled on and on and on until it was 3 minutes, and then the mayor cut him off. And I'll tell you, I was really.
Wait, an individual spoke for 30
An
minutes?
individual got up to
No,
speak.
3 minutes.
And he had his 3 minutes, but Keith had to sit there and take it. And I'll tell you, I was frustrated. It was
Yeah.
it was disrespectful. He insulted him on his service to the military and all this stuff. I won't go into a whole lot of detail, but.
Yeah, well, in a case like that, this also states on here that, if somebody wanders off that's not the subject of this petition, that you tell them so when they're done. If they want to get off in insult and this and that, or what you did over there or there. Look, we're talking about this gas station over here, and that's all we're gonna talk about. That we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can always do that.
But I also have another comment, if I may. Carrie, this is to you. We don't require them to be residents. They don't have to be residents, right? They don't have to own a business in town, correct?
Interested parties,
Anybody can show up and talk, you know, they could be from anywhere,
or
right?
it could be an adjacent business owner, yeah.
But there's no requirement. Am I right or wrong?
I believe that, I don't know of any
Because like
restrictions to that, so.
Because
Yeah.
Orland Hills showed up, and that's fine, because it was definitely right next to them. But I ask, why do we ask for their address? We don't really verify anything, do we?
I think just historically, they've been requested, but it's no longer like necessarily required, but just so we can, if there's a outreach regarding the case in the future, then we would also be able to follow up and contact them with updates.
I was just curious.
Let's not forget, gentlemen, and ladies, let's not forget that one of our responsibilities, one of our purposes for being here is to try and deal with some of these types of issues, whatever, and so the board doesn't have to deal with their meeting, so we've already handled it kind of, and made it easier.
Softened it.
But that's, and by specifying rules and things like that, and by hearing people out and everything, I do think we make the trustees' job easier.
I agree.
When I was on the village board, the reason we always asked for a name and address was so the staff could get in touch with them after the meeting if it would help to give them more information or something. That was the only reason we wanted their address.
Well, sometimes I can't even hear it, or I can't even set it so fast, I'm like, so.
Okay.
It matters, like when we had the hearing on the spaces near where you live, Nick, there were, and then we were at the other facility during the remodel, there were multiple people who were not residents of our village, who didn't have businesses adjoining that property, that had been spreading, they sound political, but misinformation about what was happening there, including the trees. And I saw them discuss it in the police hall outside, and they discussed it outside. And I had a little conversation with people outside, because I used to live over there. And I was like, none of that's true, none of that's why we were there, none of that stuff should have been discussed. But I think it helps to know that, hey, I'm Bob Jones, and I live at 123 Maple Street in Brookfield. You don't live here. I mean, we do need to respect everybody, but if you live on the next block, I care about that
More than if you live in Brookfield.
or differently, because your perspective matters based on where you or your business may live. And the last thing on the original thing, I mean, I'm sure we've all seen things where, especially during our COVID lockdowns, where NACs or like school board meetings, someone's in the middle, if you're in the middle of a coherent thought and you're asking relevant questions or your point is still being made, I mean, you've never done it, and I'm the newest guy on here, but I've never seen you cut anybody off. But we've had people, ramble, and it's actually a good thing. Hey, and they're like, okay, wrap it up. I've never seen anybody get offended by it. But if you're making a valid, relevant point and you're able to substantiate your point, I mean, we're all listening. I mean, I'm not looking at my watch to see if it's been 5 minutes. So the idea is to keep, you can actually give a point in 2 minutes. So 3 is plenty. But if you got 19 relevant questions, then yeah, okay, let's hear it. You probably should have put it in writing or called ahead.
And once again, when we tell the people that individual comment periods are limited to 3 minutes, at the same time, you could also say that, knowing that, I would, advise you to stick to the main subject matter and not wander off. Did you want to say something? No. Okay. You looked like you did.
Well, I was just going to add that, as some of the commissioners said, yes, we try to collect addresses for demographic information and follow-up. It is no longer required, so if someone declines to give their address, that will not prevent them from speaking.
No, they have a right to speak.
Yeah, okay. Did you have anything, Paul? John?
I think I kind of addressed it. I
Yeah, you
think
did.
30 minutes is,
Good.
and I think we can, especially, we would know if we're
Okay.
going to need to go beyond that. And then we can vote on that right at the beginning, extend it however long we need to extend it.
So, it's a good conversation. Joe, do you have anything to add? It was always, we haven't had it reduced to writing, but it was always understood that a commenter is given 3 minutes. That's always been the case. That's not the purpose of the rule. I mean, a lot of people, and maybe they don't, maybe I don't like what they're saying, but maybe they're right. You know?
Cut him off after 3 minutes.
No, Joe, he wasn't staying on topic neither, okay? I mean, it wasn't.
If I could comment on that very briefly. So the public hearings are always opened and limited to the particular topic at hand. So if somebody were to appear at the meeting just to say insults or offer opinions about that, that would not be appropriate in the public hearing section of the meeting because it would not be relevant to the case at hand. And the person could be, gavelled. I think you have a gavel in your drawer. Would be how, yep, that would be how we would stop somebody from speaking. That's not being changed by the rule at hand.
Okay.
The non-scheduled citizens and visitors would be where if somebody had an issue with the commission in general, that's where they would speak in that section. And in that section, as long as they're saying something that's at all relevant to plan commission business, then they would be allowed their 3 minutes and that's it. You couldn't stop it before the 3 minutes just because you didn't like what was being said. You could stop it after the 3 minutes for exceeding the time period.
So would it, so would all my fellow commissioners are we all in the same mind if I were to say, leave this document as it is, and that I will try to be more diligent in reminding people that they have a 3-minute time limit, and even more diligent in reminding them when they're about to exceed it. And then when we get to 30 minutes, call for a vote. And that might mean, yeah, there's been meetings here where we talk about a particular subject maybe for a couple hours, I think. And in a case like that, 30 minutes isn't enough, but we'll wait till we get there and then we'll allow additional time and we could just say as needed, Is that acceptable to everybody?
I'm fine with it as long as Ann clarifies that whenever we get to the 3-minute, 10-minute, or 30-minute, whatever it is, whether it's a person, somebody talking for a group, or the total time allocated to the subject, that you can enforce the extension, or you can give an extension
For 3 and 10.
for however much time you want without a vote of the commission.
You mean extend to 30?
Extend the 3, extend the 10, or extend the 30 at your discretion without a vote of the commission, because this thing, number 5, talks about the entire board having to vote to give an extension.
Just for my purposes, can you clarify the direction as to the 30-minute? I thought we were going to have a vote of the full commission if we were going to extend the overall 30-minute time period.
I think what I heard Ed just say was that he feels that, correct me if I'm putting words in your mouth, that instead of having to have a vote of the commissions, that the chair can extend it.
I would disagree with that, though. I would say that I think it puts too much power in your hands, and it's better for the public to see and say, listen, the whole board agreed to give this time.
Or not, if we vote not to do it. But it's a public vote, and who votes yes, who votes no, we all know who they are.
You'd sit there like a king and say, well, I decided to give it more than 30 minutes, you know. But if you sat here, we talked in front of the public, I think it makes it a little bit more transparent.
Yeah. By the way, this does say, each public comment period may exceed the time allotted if the public officials, okay, I answered my own question. I should have read it more closely.
Mr. Chairman, can I clarify something? I want to make sure I make this for the record. The mayor did not cut anybody off. The man spoke for 3 minutes, and I think that's the importance of this rule, is the fact that if this guy had 5 minutes, he could have kept going on.
Yeah.
And he was allowed to speak, and that's it. I just want to make sure.
I think we've had a very thorough discussion of this. I think we all know what each of us is talking about, and I think it's clear that it just puts the onus on me to be a little more diligent at these meetings.
Could I make a suggestion, Mr. Chairman? Rather than vote on this, I think it's important that Ann clarify the meaning and how it is implemented of 4 and 5. And that we make, there's no great urgency, is there, Carrie, to this?
No.
Did she clarify that? And then once she clarifies it, we vote at our next meeting.
Okay,
So I'll make a motion. I move that we continue this matter to the next meeting of the Plan Commission.
Seconded by
August
Joe.
6th.
August 6th at 7 PM?
Yes.
August 6th. Seconded by Joe Satar. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
I'm opposed. I was fine with it the way it was, but
Okay.
majority rules, so I'm not cool with it.
No, hey,
No, it might be okay just the way it is. We just need to clarify
that's
how we're going to
exactly
implement
right.
it.
You know, that's why you have a vote. You got to vote what you think, not what everybody else thinks. Appreciate your honesty, yeah. Yes, okay, so it'll be continued to the August 6th meeting, which, okay? That's
Over 30
good.
minutes.
Okay.
So we're gonna cut it off.
That's your job.
Oh, thank you. You're not making any friends there with her, Ed? No, okay. All righty, so it is continued to the August 6th meeting. The next
All right, the next one.
is about attendance policy. We've all received this and had a chance to read it, so Carrie?
So this requested to accept this report previously. So this is the attendance policy, and in August of 1995, there was an ordinance that established and updated the expectations of the Plan Commission regarding membership term, removal, and compensation. So I'll just, so everything that's in italics here is actually the language that's in the code already. Just in summary, the Plan Commission consists of 7 members, a quorum is 4. Each commissioner's term is for 1 year, starting the first Monday of each June. The Board of Trustees appoints the chairman and the vice chairman. The presiding officer is the chairman or the vice chairman in his or her absence. And then if a commissioner fails to attend 3 regular meetings with any 3-month period without a reasonable excuse, the member's term could be terminated by the recommendation of the chair or vice chair to the Board of Trustees for consideration. And at the March 19th, just a little bit of more background, at the March 19th Plan Commission meeting, you supported the policy that allows electronic participation. And between existing regulations and the recent electronic participation policy, staff members believe these items sufficiently communicate attendance expectations. So regarding case number 2024-0562, staff recommends the Plan Commission adopt Plan Commission bylaws attendance policy as discussed at this meeting and within the staff report.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
I will draw attention to the one line in there that we all understand, that while people are allowed to attend electronically, but we must have 4 people out of 7 here physically in order to
Yes.
constitute a quorum.
And actually, our goal is to schedule
Just so we don't
5
miss
just in
that one
case
line.
there's a last
Yeah.
minute.
Yeah. So we'll go to discussion, and I see that Commissioner Schuster?
Yeah, I just have a quick question. Since we're past June 1st, does that mean we're all plan commissioners for another year?
That would be my assumption, yes.
Didn't you get,
I didn't get the memo.
didn't you get the slip I left in your mailbox?
That's my only question.
Yeah.
Do any of, Lena, do any of my commissioners have any comments on this?
It's fair.
Fair?
It's fair.
You okay with it, Joe? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, so at this point, I would,
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Schuster?
Regarding case number 2024-0562, also known as Plan Commission bylaws attendance policy, I move to approve the staff recommended action as presented in the staff report to the Plan Commission for this case.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Schuster, seconded by Commissioner Paul. Commissioner Zatar? Aye. Commissioner Zapparelli?
Aye.
Commissioner Nugent?
Aye.
Schuster?
Aye.
Parisi, aye. Paul?
Aye.
Sanchez?
Aye.
Carries, okay. The last item the next item under business, other business is 2024-0563, Plan Commission bylaws in the absence of the chair policy. Carrie?
Yes, yes. So accepted this report into the record as written previously. This is basically just putting in writing, basically the procedures that you follow currently. In case the chairman is unable to attend, that the chairman may conduct the business of the Plan Commission when he's absent. And it's following the current practice. So in summary, generally following Robert's Rules of Order, do a call to order or roll call, lead the Pledge of Allegiance, describe meeting expectations to the public, request motions, seconds, and votes by roll call, especially if not unanimous, for approval of meeting minutes, opening and closing of public hearings, opening and closing of non-public hearings, and adjournment, ensuring public participation for each public hearing and non-public hearing item, announcing other business items on the agenda, including the new petitions memo, and then also ensuring participation by non-scheduled citizens and visitors prior to adjournment. So regarding case number 2024-0563, staff recommends the Plan Commission adopt Plan Commission bylaws in the absence of the chair policy as discussed at this meeting and within the staff report.
Thank you, Carrie. Reading this, which is fine, but I would read it that if both the chair and vice chair are unable to make it, we would need to continue the meeting. Yes.
Correct.
That's not necessarily true.
Okay.
If both the chair and the vice chair were missing, but there was a physical quorum,
Okay.
a chair pro tem for the duration of the meeting could be appointed by vote of the members of the quorum. So if there were, if 5 members were here, but just Chairman Parisi and Vice Chairman Schuster were the 2 that were absent, the 5 that were here could conduct business as a properly constituted quorum, and they would vote among themselves to appoint a chair for the duration of the meeting.
I would recommend that we add that.
Add that. Okay.
Add that language.
Yes.
What, Joe? I don't know, Joe.
Yeah, yes.
That's why I have an attorney sitting next to me. Yeah, I know. Well, I'm just worried about this board and that we have our ducks in a row.
Here's the thing, you and I have been here the longest.
Right.
Has that ever happened?
No, it's never happened.
Wouldn't you know ahead of time, more than likely?
Pardon?
Wouldn't you know ahead of time, more than likely, if Ed and you aren't going to be here?
Yeah, well, hopefully we would.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or if a tornado
if I'm
comes
going to be
by.
out of the country or something for a meeting, I'll make sure I let you know the day that I know that.
Appreciate it.
Well, you kind of surprised me not too long ago when I had no intention of running the meeting. Where is the chairman? Well, wait a few minutes. We couldn't find you and I had to run the meeting, so.
Carrie found me. She found me in my hospital bed.
Okay. We can manage it on the fly.
Okay.
I have a serious question on this. Number one, follow Robert's Rules of Order, okay? And my question is, when I was on the village board, we generally followed Robert's Rules of Order, except in, if you look in the, on the village code, Title I is entitled Administration, but it really is, Chapter 5 of Title I refers to the Board of Trustees. And they have a number of procedural rules in there which are different from Robert's Rules of Order, but then later on in 1-5-7-12, they say the rules of parliamentary procedure comprised in the latest published edition of Robert's Rules of Order shall govern the Board of Trustees in all cases in which they are applicable and in which they are not inconsistent with the special rules of this Board of Trustees or the statutes or laws of the state of Illinois. I don't have any problem with this strictly following Robert's rules, but that's going to be different than the Robert's rules as amended that the village board follows. And as long as everybody understands that, I think we're fine. But they do have a few different things in the village code, and then they default after that to Robert's Rules of Order. So that's my only,
All right.
my only observation.
Okay.
And I don't think we ever get really hung up on Robert's Rules of Order. Either does the village board generally. It was kind of interesting, one of my first meetings on the village board, I'd been on the school board and I'd been the president for a couple of years, so I knew a little bit about Robert's Rules, but I wasn't an expert on it. And there was something that came before the village board, and I made a motion to amend the motion. And they about had a heart attack, because what they'd been doing all along until that time is when the motion didn't fit what they wanted to do and the consensus after discussion, they would just chuck that whole motion and start over again. And I said, well, no, we just have to change this one little part of it. We'll vote on that, and then we'll vote on the main motion. And what are you talking about? That's, standard Robert's Rules of Order stuff.
Fortunately, we have Ann here to keep us in line.
Yeah, well,
Well, I might suggest that we add the language, except as expressly modified by village board or by commission policy, or village code, or commission policy to the end of that.
Item 1.
That might address that concern.
it does.
Okay.
That's my only point. I'm done.
Anybody else have any
I've
point
talked
to
enough
make?
tonight.
I think that's.
I certainly don't. You good, Joe? Guess I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Schussler.
regarding case number 2024-0563, also known as Plan Commission bylaws, in the absence of the chair of policy, I move to approve the staff recommended actions as modified by the village, what's your title? You're not the village, you're village attorney? Okay. As modified by the village attorney, as presented in the staff report to the Plan Commission for this case.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Paul. Commissioner Zatar? Sanchez?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Parisi? Aye. Schussler?
Aye.
Nugent?
Aye.
Zamparelli?
Aye.
Good.
Looking at you and saying,
I'm
gonna describe you.
well, this is for your own reading, the appearance reviews and petitions, so at that point, I would move that we adjourn at 8:35.
Comment?
Second.
Do you have to announce it?
Excuse me?
Sorry, do you have to announce the public, non-citizen, even though no one's here?
If no one's here, you can.
Pass, okay.
Yeah.
Dispense with that.
Being that there is no one from the public remaining in the meeting, I would move that we adjourn at 8:35 PM.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Sanchez. Commissioner Paul?
Aye.
Parisi, aye. Schuster?
Aye.
Nugent?
I just have one quick question. If there's nothing on the agenda for the next meeting, we're going to meet just for that one suspended?
I'd recommend that we suspend it.
I believe we have a case pending for.
Okay, so
August
it's not
6th.
gonna happen.
Or if
We're
you
gonna have
want,
something.
or if you want to, we for sure have something on August 20th, so it's not that urgent if you
Yeah.
wanted to.
All right, well,
Well,
we'll
the,
do.
the action that was taken was to continue, not to table. So it is continued to a date certain, August 5th. It has
August
to
6th,
either.
okay.
And we're going to have something on that day.
Now,
We should have.
if the entire meeting is canceled and not held on that day, this is not a public hearing, so it's not like it needs to be noticed in the
Okay.
newspaper or anything like that, but.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
We don't mind, but I wouldn't want staff to come here just for that. That was my point.
Thank you.
Right.
Aye.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Great discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.